Good morning, everyone. It's March 14, 2023. It's 11:24 in the morning, and I'm here to do a recap. So before I start with my recap, for those of you who's asking how to start to learn or where to begin in day trading journey, I would recommend to check our website out. It's called ecourseunlock.com, and with that website, you'll see tons of information. We do have our services that's currently offered. We have Day Trading Unlock course that includes more than 35 hours of learning. We also include in our website the syllabus that you will see there. We also have a Day Trading Unlock book that is now available in Amazon. If you want to just dip your toes and see whether day trading is for you, highly recommend checking that book out. And this is the eCourse Day Trading Unlock syllabus that we have. So we talk there in a very detailed form and the what is day trading, platform setup, order types, pre-market routine, fundamental versus technical analysis. You have the strategies there just so you can learn our strategy as well on how we consistently make money out of the stock market and how we get to have that accuracy higher than the typical trader. Also, we do have there our risk management, creating a trade book, trading psychology, trade reviews, and also Day Trading Unlock book is included there. So with that, we do have a monthly access that is $99 every month or an annual access that is $596. So with that, let's go back to my recap. So for today, I traded a couple of stocks. I traded AMD, Coin, FRC, Mara, Nvidia, Tesla, and Uber. So I traded a couple of stocks today. It was a harder day than usual, and that is because I needed to dig myself out of a hole. So let's begin with the first trade that I did. So just going back right here, I traded Mara. With Mara, what I saw with Mara was this level right here. Let me just turn on my pre-market data. So this level right here is my pre-market high. And this level, I just put this one just because that was my stop loss level. So what I saw with Mara was, let me turn it back off. And let me get my pen. So what I saw with Mara was it is about to break that high of the day. And so I went long right here, stop loss, and I got stop out there. The way it looks like in the 1 minute is you have that higher high, higher lows. So I went long right here, considering that it already had that move. It is a little bit of a chase, but that's why I got stop out right here. So that one was my first red trade. So going long at Mara got me into a red trade first off in the early part of the day. So what I did was I waited for a setup with Mara. What I saw with Mara was this one has been just moving back and forth, the VWAP. So there's no trades there yet. Once I get to see that Mara had decided what it wants to do. So Mara is a gap up to begin with. So that is, for me, it's a strong stock. So if it's a strong stock, then my strategy would be a 9 EMA trade where I will wait for this one to have a pullback on the 9 EMA. And then once it has a pullback with the 9 EMA, then that's the time for me to go long, because you always wanted to go long on a pullback rather than when it's going higher and higher, unless it's an opening range breakout, which is this strategy to begin with. But that got me stop out. So first trade was a red trade. So when I saw that it's forming that 9 EMA trade and it had that pull back on the 9 EMA, so I went long just a little bit on top of that VWAP, or the VWAP is right here, so just a little higher than the 9 EMA. And the best entry could have been at the body of this, but I was a little bit late, so I went in just a little bit on top of this body. So stop loss is below this body right there, and I was able to manage to add to my position when it's about to break the VWAP. At that time, it was so strong and was all out at this level. Now, typically, I would do a partial, but just because this trade right here had me on a red trade, I had paper hands and I needed to get all out at this level. So when I was all out at this level with this first red trade and then was able to capture this move, that one was just an $18. This is a cheap stock, and with just a small position, I did not get to capitalize on that. So that one was just a break-even trade. So next one is Tesla. What I found in Tesla is it is very volatile, as always had been. Volume is at 61 million. This one is a little bit of a risky trade because it's not really in my trade book, but I saw that Tesla was so strong. So what I did was this wick right here, although it can be a sign of weakness, but what I saw was Tesla is just having that pullback And that pullback, I took advantage of that by entering long. So this strategy right here is a micro strategy, and the strategy that I did was a bull flag pattern. So you have this going higher high, higher low, then you have a pullback right here in the 1 minute, and that pullback is where I entered long. So when I entered long, I'm using the 1 minute chart right here, a bit of a risky trade. So I entered long right here, just on top of the VWAP. Entered long. The way it looks like here is entered long right here. Stop loss is below the VWAP. So below the VWAP, it did consolidate before it had that pop. Now, once it was about to touch that high of the day, I partial there because expected that would be a strong resistance there. I partialed, moving my stop loss above my break even, and then that's where I got stop out. So that is my first trade in Tesla. So that one was a little green trade right there. And then what I saw again with Tesla was we have a wick right there. This wick right here was not as bearish that it was not even able to touch the bottom of this. So when I saw that other wick, I entered long again right here. Volume not as convincing that we are heading higher, but this one is not an A+ setup. It is just playing Tesla, and playing Tesla based from how I observed Tesla to be moving before. So when I saw that that had created this support right there, I entered long right here. Sure enough, we did get the pop. After that pop, I was partialing because we were already above the VWAP, partialing, and then moving my stop loss above the VWAP, and that got me stop out. So 2 green trades on Tesla, and with that, I got 635 with Tesla. So that one was my Tesla trade. So let's see here. So we had cover Mara, Tesla. Now the next trade that I did was FRC. FRC was such a pain in the butt right here. So we are up by 49% on FRC, but look at the spread right here. We have 46.85, 46.90. So that's about 0.05 cents. So a little bit of over trading here, but this one was just a break-even trade. So a little bit as well of FOMO here because at the open, I did not see a lot that is moving. So when I saw FRC, I thought that this one could be a good runner. So what I did initially was, this one is a big up right here. Obviously, we're like up by more than initially with like 40%. We did found this right here is the halt. Before it halted, what I saw here was a big pullback. So I don't want to go long on when a stock is going higher high, higher low. I want to enter long on a pullback. So I entered long at this level. So a pullback right here, did found a bottom right here. So once this one is forming, my initial strategy is to enter at the high of this wick at the next candlestick. So a high of that wick is this candlestick right here. So once this one got me filled, stop loss right here is tight, and it's just gonna be below this level right here, below the body of this candlestick. So this candlestick is the level for me to do a stop loss. So it had that consolidation. This is 5 minutes, so this one feels forever when you're in a trade. So it did consolidate there and got a little bit of pop in the VWAP, and then it stopped me out with that stop out, just because I initially have a big position that got me into a red trade. So first trade was a red trade, but just because I have a tight stop loss right there, was able to still get an edge on this by waiting for my setup. So the setup that I waited for was, we do have that bunch of consolidations right here. So when I saw that consolidation, and just zooming this one in, when I saw those bunch of consolidation here, what I did was to re-enter this trade. So I re-entered this trade right here. This is the first trade that I did that got me red. Re-enter the trade. Now, once I re-entered the trade, I did see that it is respecting this 9 EMA. So once it was looking that it's very bullish, respecting that 9 EMA, I added to my position right here. Added to my position. So I was adding to my position when it's going higher high, higher low. Added to my position, and that's the time that I started to scale and partial at that level. So we're now above the VWAP, and that's the time that I get to partial out. So if you look at the 1 minute, this trade right here was the red trade. And then when it was curling, we're having that wave right here. It was curling up. That's the time that I added. I was expecting a break above VWAP. I managed to stay on the position because at this time, I started with a small position now. Just because when I started a big position here, I did find that what this stock is doing, it likes consolidating. So once it's consolidating like that, I would lower down my risk by lowering down my position. So at this time, I was able to manage that consolidation or that wave because I just started a small position. With that small position, I saw that we are, this level right here is even lower than this level right here. So that means we're still heading higher high, higher low. The way that looks in the 5 minutes is this candlestick right here, or the wick is lower than this wick right there. So it's heading higher. So initial position, added to my position here, about to break the VWAP there, added to my position. And when I added to that position, then that's the time that I started to partial. So my last add here, partial. I was able to partial all the way up here. So this one, just because I was red in this position, I went all out at this. So at this time, I'm trading my profit and loss. So I did not want to have this red trade, make this trade as a red trade. So once I saw the move and I'm already up and up covering my even loss, I went all out at this level. So with that, having a paper hands, my thesis is still valid. So what I did was I re-entered this. At this point, I am just scalping. I re-entered right here, partial. It's still moving as higher high, higher low, and as how I expected it to be. So I re-entered again. Then this one added to my position, partial right there, and moving my stop loss, and that got stopped me out. Re-entered again, and this is my last trade right here, because this one, it just went flushed. So although I was up more when I was trading it at this, I did have to pay some back because this one was my last trade and that got me stop out. So I was building position, so entered long, added to my position, and got me stop out. So with that, FRC is just a break-even trade. But FRC is one of the trade or the stocks that I needed to dig myself out of a hole. So that is FRC. Now, next one. Next one is Coin. So Coin is a very small green trade as well. And this one, I also needed to dig myself out of a hole. So what I saw with Coin was about to break the high of the day at this point. High of the day when there's only two candlesticks that's formed. High of the day is this. So I went long right there. Stop loss is the body and I got stop out. So first trade right here, I have a big position and that one was a red trade. So red trade right there. Next trade, this is a false breakout. Now this time the 9 EMA did not work. So it is a gap up, so a strong stock. I wanted to, since I am done with this first move is an opening range breakout. Since I am done with the opening range breakout strategy, now I would like to do a 9 EMA. 9 EMA, you have a strong stock, a gap up, and a pullback. Pullback to the 9 EMA. My 9 EMA is this gray line right there. And with that gray line, initially, with the other stock that we were discussing, that 9 EMA worked out beautifully. With this one, and this is what we call a fake out. So entered long right here, a little bit of anticipation right there, because the good entry would have been when this candlestick was forming and the stop loss is right here. But what I saw is I zoom it in. So what I saw with the 1 minute is this hammer right there. So that's why I went earlier before even having this candlestick form. So this is the thing about using the 1 minute versus the 5 minutes. 1 minute, it can get you wicked out. 5 minutes is a more less wiki stock or less wiki time frame. So if I waited for this candlestick to form and enter right here with the stop loss with the wick, so it's going to be stop loss right here, then I could have still been stop out because of this one just went lower, but I got stop out still, and that one was using the 1 minute. So with all the stocks or with trading, it's always not 100% guarantee, and that's why we do have the stop loss. But what I'm just saying is that's the difference between trading the 5 minutes versus trading, using an entry in the 1 minute. My entry here was in 1 minute because what I saw is this hammer right there. That's why I started entering there and adding to my position. And my stop loss is just below this 9 EMA right there, below the 9 EMA, just because the body is so low or so small in this 5 minutes, and that got me stop out. The way that looks in the 1 minute is this got me stop out. This one was the first trade, red trade, second trade, red trade again. So at this point, I have 3 trades in coin that are both red. So I needed to wait for a confirmation that we are certainly heading higher high, higher low. So my last and third trade here was when I saw that it is respecting the R3. It is now it touches the R3 first time. Second time, it went even higher than the R3. So it did not even have that capacity to have touched that low level right here. If you compare this level compared to this level right here is just a little bit lower compared to this level right here. So what I did was try to long this stock again. So I entered long at the body of this candlestick, adding to my position there. And then once it is above the 9 EMA, I added to my position again. The way it looks like in the 1 minute is 1 minute showed me this big candlestick right there, although the volume is not as much. And that's why I was so aggressive in taking my profit right there. I did not even partial. I just went all out just because this volume bar right here is not as convincing. If it's too high of a volume bar and then the volume bar keeps increasing, then that's the time that I will just partial and then move my stop loss or trail my stop loss. But just because first trade is red, second trade is red, I needed to make sure that I was up on my profit and loss with coin trade, and I just went all out. And that's the reason why I only have 152 with coin. So that is the coin trade. Next trade. Next trade is, let's see, Uber. What I saw with Uber is not moving as much. So I did not want to tie my capital here when there's other stocks that's moving. So what I saw is this one is another 9 EMA. 9 EMA, that's not a mover, waste of time. So I just needed to get out. So yeah, it's heading lower low, lower high, below the VWAP. But what I saw, and this one was the one that caught my attention. So this one is a very good spot to go long. So thought process is the body, I will be long on top of the body. Stop loss is just a little bit below this body, right? So I entered there, small position, and while I was there, SPY is having a pullback, NVIDIA is having a pullback. So when I saw that this one is not moving as much, so first 5 minutes, second 5 minutes, now we are on the more than 10 minutes of this trade right here, which have not been moving. So imagine the move here that I got was just from 32.67 all the way to 32.7. So that's just 0.03 cents. So with that, I saw that it is starting to get heavy, meaning there's a lot of bids stacking up. There's not a volume to support this one. The volume is even going lower when it's pushing higher. So that means there's not a lot of momentum. And that's the reason why I decided to just go all out. So, and sure enough, when I went all out, it just had that flush. So I only got $30 with that. So that is the Uber trade. Next one is NVIDIA. Let's look at what NVIDIA did today. So with NVIDIA, a couple of stats here as well. SPY is strong today. So with NVIDIA, what I saw was this strong stock at the open. So gap up, going higher high, higher low. There's no turning back here. When I saw that we have a couple of wick here, one wick, second wick. So I entered short right here at the body of this candlestick right there, added to my position when it lost that wick or went lower than the wick. And stop loss right here is just on top of that wick because this wick right here is serving a couple of touches there as a strong resistance there. And that first trade in NVIDIA, this trade right here, is a red trade. So got me stop out. Then next one is when I saw that NVIDIA is trying to touch that high. This is initially the high of the day. So when it's trying to test that high of the day, I went short again. Stop loss is just a little bit higher than that high of the day, and I got stop out. So getting frustrated here. Second trade was a red trade again. So with that, I needed to zoom out and try to see NVIDIA in a bigger picture, what is NVIDIA doing? NVIDIA is still higher high, higher low. So what am I doing trying to short this very strong stock? So when I waited for that setup, what I saw here is we're heading still, that wick is now the high of the day. Now with how it looks like with the daily chart. So this is the first trade, got stop out, second trade, stop out. Now with this one, just so I can find an entry that's early for me to still not get too late for this trade. So we did found this inverted hammer right there. When I saw that one, I entered short right here. Stop loss a little bit above this wick right there. Higher high, higher low, but we are now having that wick, lot of wick. So added to my position here. This level was broken down. So once it broke that level, I added to my position, So starting to build my position here. Now, when I did build my position there, NVIDIA did had that flush. So since my stop loss is all the way up here, I was able to manage to hold my short position until this flush. Once there is a flush right here, I was looking at SPY. SPY did had a pullback at that time. So this one was 1059. SPY at 1059 had that flush as well. That's why it's easier to hold a position when you take a look at what the SPY is doing as well. So with that entry short here, was able to manage to ride this all the way down here. And now moving my stop loss, trailing my stop loss, and I got all out right there. So all out right here. Now, what I did find again with NVIDIA was it's starting to consolidate. We're now forming a new high for the day. So high of the day is this. And then now it did manage to went a little bit higher than that. When I saw that it formed that wick, we had this big volume bar. What I did was I entered aggressively here, entered short, added to my position. We did find a lower low, lower high that time. This time right here, this is a scalp trade. So I started scaling out. I partialed here, moving my stop loss lower than my break even, and I got stop out there. So that one was my last trade in NVIDIA. And NVIDIA did give me 467 with that trade. So let's see what NVIDIA is doing now. So NVIDIA, yeah, still very strong. So if you look at it at a bigger picture, look at those pullbacks that I was able to catch. This little bit of pullback, this little bit of a pullback. This one was a red trade. So with that minute pullback, I was still able to ride it because I was trailing my stop and I was basing it as well on volume price analysis. Those wick right there. And so once that is in your strategy, most likely algorithms is behind you as well, is on your side, and that's why we get to manage to get profit from this very minute move. So that is NVIDIA. Last one is AMD. So what I saw with AMD was so strong today, and this one was even from this level 83.5 all the way to 88.25. Just no turning back right here. This little bit of red small candlestick right there, those are profit takers. So those who were long, they take some profit there. So we got a red candlestick. Those who were long still took some profit there. This could have been their partialing. So it was just such a strong stock that when I saw this one, I was too late to the party. But what I saw with AMD was this giveaway right here. See that wick? That wick right there is showing some signs of weakness. So what I saw here was that wick, the way that it looks like in the 1 minute is we're heading lower low, lower high. So lower low, lower high. I based my entry in the 1 minute just because I wanted to go in and early with this trade. So this is an inside bar right here. This is inside this bar right here. When I saw that this candlestick that had formed broke the low of this candlestick, that it's very bearish. So a little bit late here, but I needed to have that confirmation first just because the wick is there. So strategy here is I saw the wick. I need to find a good level of my entry and stop loss. So entry is we have that pullback. So it's just below the body of this candlestick. Stop loss is above the wick. And the way it looks like in the 1 minute is like this. So I entered short, added to my position, I keep adding to my position, building my position now because the conviction here is high. Once I have built my position here, I keep adding when I am already green on the trade. Then we did found that level, and this is the part where I started scaling. So I partialed it here, moving my stop loss lower than my break even, and I got stop out there. So that trade right there is already a green trade. So first trade in AMD going to the short side was a green trade. Now my thesis is still valid, so that's why I re-entered short here. So re-entered short right here, added to my position. Now I'm starting to partial, and then I got all out right there. So this one, a scalp trade, got me a little bit of higher, more green. So that was the AMD. AMD again, I tried to short it, but this one it's a bit overextended, so I got stop out there. Then the last trade that I did with AMD was this one still has that inverted hammer. I re-shorted it, added to my position, and since there's a wick right here that is showing some signs of reversal, I just went all out, partial first and then all out. And then sure enough, it just went higher. So with that, I only got 376. I could have had a bigger gain if I did not have this overtrade right here. So the overtrade is I got stop out here, and this scalp right here is just not worth it just because it's a very small move. If I did not have this stopping out, which put me, I needed to give back some of my profit, then this could have been a bigger gain. But because of that, I only got 376. So with that, I am done with my trade. I know there's still a lot of stocks that are moving. Let's just take a look right here, what else they're doing. So let's see here what AMD is now doing. AMD now still consolidating. This is a good short right here because we have found a double top. So this is a double top short right here, and this can still has a room to go down because it isn't overextended. But I am done with my trade. Next one, coin. Have that curl. This one could have been a good rejection right here. This can be a good short once it's close to 64.48. FRC. FRC, I wouldn't touch this one to be honest, just because it's in a short selling restriction. So it's not shortable. So that means there's not even a component of short squeeze that's going to happen here. The spread is too high. It's like 10 cents now. And it's really moving very little. So unless you have a very small share size, but at this point, it's just consolidating at this level. So it's going to be hard to make money out of this. That would be just a range bound kind of trade right there. And it already had that move from 53. So a swing trader who had swing this one, entered at 31, they have like $20 move there. So, but I wouldn't be touching that. Mara consolidating just like coin. This one could be a good short right here with a stop loss above that high of the day. Nvidia looks like we have found a new high of the day, and this one could be a good short at 241.45. Let's look at Tesla. Tesla is consolidating, no volume here, so this one can go either higher or lower. Uber, this one, look at the bid and the ask. There's not a good order flow. There's not a lot of movements right here, so this one can just consolidate. And with that time of the day, it's 12. I wouldn't be trading anymore at this time. So that's it for me. 1737 for the day. It's a difficult day just because I needed to dig myself out of the hole. That turned out okay, but that's the reason why I needed to trade longer than usual. So I hope you had a green trading day. And if you have questions about day trading, please feel free to email me. Would love to help you out. And yeah, if you do have questions about this recap as well, please feel free to email me. So I hope you had a green trading day. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you at the next one. Thanks. Bye.